let's bring in pollster and communication strategist Frank Luntz. Frank, you heard Mitch Landrieu there. What do you think about his explanation for Biden's line on oil for the next 10 years?
There were a couple moments, and that was one of them, when I thought we've gone back to high school, and this is not a good look for the United States. I was actually more upset over the Social Security line.
Why?
Because Kevin McCarthy had said the day before, and I quote, Social Security and Medicare are off the table. Mitch Landrieu had said 48 hours before, Medicare and Social Security are off the table. To accuse the Republicans of sunsetting, and that's the word he used, you know, I'm a language person, of sunsetting Social Security is wrong. It's equally wrong for the members, I know you've been playing it a lot this morning, to have heckled him the way that they did. And I was watching, because I was sitting in the chamber, I was in the gallery, and I watched the squad all sits together, and it was almost like a party for them, whooping it up when they liked what the president said, and the Republicans cheering him. We're not Parliament, and it sets a really bad example. This is great if you're in London. It's not great for Americans, and particularly my students from USC are here. And I'm trying to tell them, don't treat people with disrespect. Treat people with civility, even if you disagree. The State of the Union is the president's moment. Give him his moment, and then use the response to disagree.
It is their house, though.
Yes, but how we keep that house, determines how we keep the neighborhood, determines how we react to each other. We have a rapport. I'm not going to cut you off. I may disagree, and I know you disagree with me often, strongly, but I'm listening, and I'm trying to learn from it. And that's what should be happening in moments like this. Tens of millions of people are watching, and we shouldn't tear each other apart. But the president knows about he knew the language. And the two leaders of the Republicans in both the House and the Senate were clear about this. So for him to say that was not only provocative, it was dishonest.
Even though people in politics do that a lot, twisting each other's words. And the thing is, Senator Rick Scott did propose that. He did put that on a website and angered a lot of Republicans. And you are right about what Kevin McCarthy has said.
And McConnell,
and
the two
they
leaders,
have been, yes.
said, no, it's not going to happen. And
but isn't it the Republicans' fault that the president has that kind of cudgel to use against them?
It's the president's responsibility to seek a higher plane. He says he's for unity. Show it. And I was there in the chamber. I'm listening to as people are walking out. It is less likely that we're going to have bipartisan cooperation after that speech. And that's a problem.
Why? Because of what he said on Social Security and Medicare? Because
Yeah.
of that or because of something else?
That was the primary thing, because they thought that he was so disingenuous that it really bothered them. We are
Even with all his qualifications around it.
Well, because he was listening to them booing him, and he realized that he was being pushed back. At some point, we have to calm down. At some point, we have to look people straight in the eye and be able to tell them the truth. The truth is, the Democrats aren't always right. The Republicans aren't always right. Joe Biden has a record of accomplishment, but he also has a record of saying things and doing things that he was not supposed to do as president. Let's tell the entire story, which is exactly what you all have been doing for the last few months.
But there are people who, and you said, look, it works in Parliament, but it doesn't work. But there are people who also believe in America that there's too much decorum. People sit on their hands and they just sort of let things slide. The president pushed back last night. He seemed completely comfortable with pushing back on Republicans heckling him and yelling things out. He's very comfortable being there. Doesn't that say something about this president's maturity? He has been actually very bipartisan to people who thought, like, hey, he's trying to work with Republicans way too much.
It's interesting because you call it pushing back, and the conversations I had with voters, because I wanted to be able to get their sense of it, was he was yelling at them. We all see things differently, push back or yelling. You can play the segments, you can make that decision.
He was yelling at them.
Yelling at them, yes. And in the end, you're supposed to feel better about your country after State of the Union than you did before. I think we've gone in the other direction.
Frank Luntz, thank you.
Hey, Frank, let me ask you, because you said, I'm sorry, pardon me. What would you have, how should he have responded then if you said he was yelling?
I would have looked at them and actually would have asked them a question. Really? And then I would have gone and given the evidence for either the oil or for Social Security or the deficit coming down. I would have gone point by point by point rather than yelling.
Didn't he do that? No?
He went to point by point on the deficit. He did not on Social Security, and he did not on energy.
All right. Thank you for entertaining that.
Thank you.
Sorry, Papa.
Oh, it's okay.
Thanks for joining us, Frank.
Thanks, Frank. And hi to your students. We see them behind the camera. Pretty cool.